Welcome people of the internet, my name is Sal, and from lost scenes to entirely... Welcome people of the internet, my name is Talon. Today we'll explore some of the most obscure pieces of lost media in the Godzilla franchise. So I have found 6 of my favorite lost media from the Godzilla franchise. Make sure to subscribe, and without further ado, let's get into the video. Back when Godzilla 2014 started being filmed, Akira Takarada, the original Godzilla actor, made a cameo as an immigration officer when Fort Brody lands to get his dad out of prison. This was the very first scene that they filmed for the movie. We thought this was lost to time, but recently in 2024, a 10-year anniversary 4K 5-film re-release of all the MonsterVerse films includes this lost scene. Gareth Edwards had this to say about the cut scene. From an emotional point of view, in terms of my love of Godzilla, the hardest thing was Akira Takarada. He was in the original films and did a cameo for us on day 1, and it felt very appropriate at the time because he played an immigration officer who welcomes Aaron Taylor Johnson's character to Japan. So it was like this. Perfect. Day 1, first shot, and then when we constructed the film, basically there was a lot of pressure to get on with the adventure and get to the monsters as soon as you can, and so lots of things came out of that part of the movie. And I hung on to that until the last second. And it was still deemed by the screenings when we tested it that we had to get it shorter, and so that ended up having to go, which is probably my biggest regret. Even though this was recovered, I thought it was still part of Godzilla history, and so that's why I included it. King Kong vs. Godzilla was released by Toho Studios and was released in Japan August 11th, 1962. Later, it would be dubbed and edited, and the runtime would be shortened from 97 to 91 minutes by John Beck, a US producer. He was given the rights to King Kong vs. Godzilla in non-Asian territories, and Toho would retain the rights in Japan. Toho would market an English dub version of the movie in international booklets. However, the English dub has never been released on home video. Despite this, Toho's international trailer for the movie does exist and is available on YouTube. It is currently unknown if it's truly a trailer for a Toho commissioned English dub, or if it was only the trailer that was dubbed for promotional purposes. The movie started all the way back in 1983, 8 years after the Showa era ended. Shizuo Nakajima and a small group of Toho employees made a 36-minute effects reel featuring Godzilla and the Wolfman. The plot would be centered around an irradiated wolf which grows to be the size of Godzilla. The two would meet in the countryside, and Godzilla would be portrayed like he was in the late Showa era. Looking at Wikizilla, the film will star... I'm gonna botch these names. Shitozu Shima and Ima Ishihara. I think I got it. The Godzilla suit was created based on the Mothra vs. Godzilla suit, and a second suit is made and was based on the King Goji suit. And they were modeled by Fuyuki Shinada. The Wolfman effects were inspired by the movie The Howling and An American Werewolf in London. Nakajima would make a 3.5-minute long trailer that was played at G-Fest in 2012. 26 minutes of footage was released July 3rd, 2021. The final cut has not been released, and according to Nakajima, over 10 hours of raw footage for the film exists. You've probably heard this one a lot, but I feel like this one is still worth mentioning. Godzilla vs. Gamera was a one-act stage show put on by Toho and Daiei Studios. It took place in March 1970 at the Children's Festival in Osaka. It was played every night for 10 days straight. It featured Godzilla, Gyaos, Gamera, Manila, Gorosaurus, and Jigar. That's all I'm going to say about this one because it's pretty well known by the Godzilla community.
Tokyo 1960 was a Filipino kaiju film released on December 27, 1957. It was directed by Teodorcio C. Santos and Sergio H. Santiago as its executive producer. It's a bit of an obscure piece of lost media. The only actors that we know that were in the film are Tessie Quintana, Eddie Del Mar, and Zaldi Shornak. The movie apparently edited in shots from Godzilla 1954. We don't know if this was a re-edit or a redub of Godzilla 54, but the quote to describe the film was, "mightiest melodrama of them all." The movie was said to be shot in Japan, but was actually shot in Manila. One source claimed that the theatrical title was Godzilla's Fury and or Godzilla 1960. The only thing that exists in the movie are promotional posters. Toho was rumored to have collaborated with them on the project, and the first time we heard about this lost movie was back in 2008, when Video 48 posted an article about 3 atomic monster movies in the 1950s. A user under the name Dr. Kiss created a thread thread in the classic horror movie film board forums about this very lost movie, with a lot of information being present. However, this movie is very likely lost to time at this point.
Godzilla and the Lost Continent is an unpublished novel by Random House. It would have been the 5th novel in the series. The Random House Godzilla book series was written by Mark Sarancini. There we go. The project was cancelled due to the reception of Godzilla in 1998. The author planned to have an original kaiju named Rajan, and it would be a rock-type kaiju. There is a plot for the book, and it goes as follows. Godzilla's rest in the Pacific Ocean is disturbed when a landmass the size of Texas appears in the Pacific Ocean, and the countries of the world rush to control it. But when they arrive, they discover vast ruins and a small group of survivors and a lost civilization. But of more concern is that the monsters Varian, Manda, and Batra have made their homes on the Lost Continent. As the invading armies roll in, the monsters begin to combat them, but then flee, and a totally new monster, an extremely powerful humanoid made of rock and stone dubbed Rajan, appears and destroys all of the human interlopers. Matters are made even worse when it is revealed that Rajan is merely a herald and champion for an even greater intelligence, the Earth itself, which is not only responsible for the sudden return of the Lost Continent and the calling of all monsters to it, but has also possessed the body of Biollante to serve as its avatar, along with creating equally monstrous forest growth, which soon appears across the globe in a catastrophic bid to cleanse itself of all human life. Now Godzilla is the only hope for both mankind and the inhabitants of the Lost Continent against these two sentient, literal forces of nature. There was a 12-page preview at the end of the 4th novel, Godzilla vs. the Robot Monsters. Original creatures had been in the novels before. In Godzilla at World's End, there were the Ancient Ones, the Kamikites, and an irradiated, altered human girl, Zoe Kemmering. A lesser group of creatures were also planned for the book, and it would have been very similar to the villain of John Wyndham's 1951 novel, The Day of the Triffids, and the various films and TV adaptations. This book will probably never see the light of day, probably due to legal reasons. I want to give a big shout out to Firewood Media for being part of the video. I will link his YouTube channel and other socials down in the description so you guys can go support him. That's where I throw it off to you guys. Let me know what your guys' favorite Lost Media in the Godzilla franchise is, and any other Lost Media that I didn't get to in this video, and if so, I will do a part 2 if this video does well. Make sure to go check out all of my other videos on my channel. That's all from me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.